pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42, 4 and 5, for the purpose of discussing evaluation tool pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42, 5A1, discussing the administrative salary ranges pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-5A1, and then to also consider and vote on a motion to adjourn and reconvene into. Is there a motion into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? All that say aye.
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 Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Test, test. Test, test. 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 Test.
you have any candy? Gum? Candy? Gum? Yes, I do. Thank you. No, I wasn't touching those. Yeah, that's what I call it. Thank you. I took two.
Calling the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. No votes were taken in executive session. I'll entertain a motion to seal the executive session minutes. Is there a second? Let's say aye.
Aye.
Executive session minutes are sealed. Item, please.
The next item is student liaisons. Nathan Tavares, East Providence High School.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start off by letting you all know that, with the school year coming to a close, this will be my final meeting as liaison. And with that, we are in the middle of a very busy end to the year. The junior prom was held last Friday at Valley Country Club, with about 170 students in attendance. Students at EPHS are currently finishing up AP testing for this year. Also, The annual fashion show will be held tomorrow at 6:30, showcasing the work from students in the fashion design program. Over the past 2 Thursdays, there have been the final band and chorus concerts for the year. A lot of events for seniors are fast approaching, with only 12 school days left for the class of 2024. Commitment Day is this Thursday. Seniors are encouraged to wear gear from whichever institution they plan on attending next year. The senior prom is going to be held this Friday at the Newport Marriott, and over 300 tickets were purchased by students. The National Honor Society Awards Ceremony will be held on Thursday, May 25th. The Senior Athletics Banquet, hosted by the Friends of County Athletics, is set for Wednesday, May 29th. Also, Class Night is scheduled for Monday, June 3rd. During this event, awards and scholarships will be presented to seniors, and juniors will be receiving their book awards as well. The senior trip to Brownstone will be held on Thursday, June 6th. The senior walk is being held on June 7th, and this year, students are being offered the opportunity to visit their respective middle schools and elementary schools. Graduation begins at 6:30 later that day at Pierce Field, and the rain date for graduation is June 9th at 1 p.m. This season, there have been some notable athletic accomplishments. The golf team broke the school record for the lowest team score. Currently, the golfers are 11th in the state and are on the cusp of qualifying for the state championship. Girls lacrosse has a 6-5 record, and the team is looking to continue their season into the playoffs. The boys tennis team is looking to finish out the regular season with a strong 11-2 record in Division II. They are preparing to make a statement in the playoffs as they fight for the championship with a senior-heavy lineup. And with that, that is all I have for you tonight. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I just have a comment.
Okay.
So first of all, we would like to thank you for the outstanding job that you've done coming here every month. And we would also like to congratulate you. Nathan is on his way to Brown University in the program.
Thank you.
He has been accepted into the program in liberal medical education, which means he has a direct acceptance into medical school, correct?
Yes.
Congratulations. That is
Thank you so much.
It's so very
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is Megan Pita, Martin Middle School.
Good evening, all members of the school committee, Dr. Fran, Dr. Bowler, and Mrs. Corsi. I'm so pleased to be here this evening and share some highlights from Martin Middle School. We are thrilled to announce that we just completed all state testing. We are so proud of all of our students for their hard work and focus. Thank you to all the Martin staff and those who serve on the motivation committee. Your treats and positive motivational attitude really encouraged us to do our best. Spring sports are finishing up within the next few weeks. We are so proud of all of our teams. We wish the best of luck to our track and field state qualifiers as they head to the state championship this coming Sunday. Our softball and baseball teams are playing critical games this week to gain a spot in the playoffs. We would like to congratulate both the Riverside softball and baseball teams on winning the Mayor's Cup on April 29th. It was such a fun night filled with townie pride. Our unified basketball team just completed an amazing season with a round robin in Portsmouth. Thank you to all the athletes, coaches, and partners for making the season such a success. Our amazing physical education teacher, Mrs. Carrie Scandora, hosted a fabulous pickleball night on May 1st. It was such a successful night, and everyone had a great time. Also on May 1st, 3 Martin Middle School staff were honored at the 16th annual plaque recognition. A huge congratulations to Mr. Kennedy, Mrs. Sue Rodriguez, and Mrs. Garganta on their EPLAC recognition. We are so grateful for your hard work and so proud that you are recognized for all your efforts. We would like to congratulate Mrs. Kelly Groff on winning the Martin Middle School Teacher of the Year. Ms. Groff was overwhelmingly nominated this honor by her peers and members of the community. Ms. Groff is a special education teacher who is committed to bringing personalized and inclusive opportunities to all students. Both the Martin Middle School Band and Chorus had their spring concerts here at East Providence High School in the past 2 weeks. These were both events filled with musical talents. Thank you to all who came out to support the Wildcat music programs. We just wrapped up Teacher Appreciation and Staff Week at Martin. We appreciate our teachers and staff every day, but it was so great to have a week just for them. Thank you to the MMS PTA for your support for our teachers and staff. As we head into the last 5 weeks of school, we have so many exciting events coming up. Our teachers are busy planning our Wildcat Award Days and our Field Days, while every student is anxiously awaiting meeting Tropicana Dandy later this month. We are so very excited for our 8th grade students to go to Boston for an overnight trip on May 22nd and May 23rd. Learning the rich history of Boston with our friends is going to be such a memorable experience. I personally want to thank Mrs. Audette, Mrs. Marchand, Mrs. Millay, Miss Vincent, and all the teachers involved for making this trip possible. I couldn't be more excited, and I know my peers are just as excited. We are looking forward to the upcoming Memorial Day Parade. Our marching band has been practicing under the leadership of Mrs. Anderson to prepare for this parade. We are all looking forward to seeing you all there lining the streets to cheer us on. We are eagerly preparing for the National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony on May 31st at Martin. As you all received an invitation earlier, I hope you are all excited to join us. It has been a privilege and honor to meet with you each month this year, to review all the amazing events at Martin Middle School. I love being the liaison, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunity Mrs. Marchand gave me and all the opportunities I've had at Martin. I'll forever cherish my time at Martin experience. I hope you enjoy your summer, and thank you again. Please join me in welcoming Tyler Melmed, the liaison from Riverside.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Bowler, Dr. Ferrand, Miss Corsi, and members of the school committee. It is a pleasure to be back to highlight the April and May events at Riverside Middle School. Recently, we have been getting brand new science rooms and redoing the old ones, and our library is being reconstructed, and it's very cool to see all the progress they've been making. Then, on the week of April 8th, we celebrated Reading Week, such as Character Day. Then, on April 24th, we had our Arbor Day tree planting event. I was there and helped plant trees and learn the science behind how they grow and help our community. There was also a ceremony with Mayor De Silva and government officials. It was a very cool learning experience. After that, on April 26th, we hosted our spring dance thanks to our student council who organized the event. Then, Teacher Appreciation Week was from May 6th to the 10th. The PTSA, along with Dr. G and Mr. Salguero, created theme days to celebrate the work of our teachers. April 30th and May 2nd was our math RICAS state testing, recently followed by the NGSA testing for 8th graders. We also had a perfect attendance breakfast for students with 2 or less absences, where they would go in and help make their own breakfast. Last week, we had our Mental Health Awareness Week, which consisted of theme days to support our mental health, like Mellow Monday. We finished the 3rd quarter and our honor roll came out. I made it, and I am excited for the bingo. We are also going to have a spring band concert that the band has been working on diligently. That is all. Thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Melvin has told me on his way here, I brought him my car with me, that in the last few weeks, sometimes every day, 2 in 1 day.
Thank you. Would you be staying for public comment as well, or I just want to clarify, sir? Oh, that was a comment. Okay, thank you. We do have a Q&A portion later in tonight, so we will be discussing that a little bit more in detail. Thank you. Would you like to move up our students? Yes. I'd like to propose to the committee to move up our Skills USA winners from the section under the superintendent's report above the the section above the consent agenda, so our students don't have to wait here too long, along with their parents and family. Is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second? I'll second. Oh, let's say aye. Aye.
Hanlon is going to speak about Skills USA and then announce the students that are here to be recognized.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ferrand. Good evening. So I'm Bob Hanlon. I'm the director of the Career and Tech Center here at the high school. Skills USA is an organization that the CTC has been involved with for many years. It is a student organization that runs competitions in a variety of career and tech fields. Students get involved. They practice. Many of the competitions are linked directly to the content that they learn in class. Some of them a little more indirectly related, but it's a chance for kids to network and really show off what they've learned. Students take pride in it. Normally, East Providence High School will have about 60, 70, 80 students participate in Skills USA. This year we had over 115. It was a big year for us, and the kids did really, really well. We had 39 medal winners, gold, silver, or bronze, so they were in the top 3 in the entire state. There were over 1,000 students that competed across the state from just about every high school, so this was a great accomplishment for us. So the school committee chose to honor the 39 medal winners tonight. We invited everyone, and we had these students who came to the meeting, were able to come. Some students had work, some had athletics. So the students who are here are a sample, and we'll get the certificates to the other students that were not able to attend tonight. So when I call your name, please come up and get your certificate. From our forensics program for crime scene investigation, Brennan Alves. Brennan won Brennan and her team won a silver medal. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Want to stay up here? Yeah. Okay. For engineering and technology, bronze medal, Ty Messier. Congratulations. From our information technology program, silver medal award winner for web design, Hayden Melmid. Congratulations, Hayden. Hayden's teammate from the information technology program, silver medal web design, Madison Stawicki. Madison is also the Skills USA treasurer, the state of Rhode Island treasurer, and the president of the East Providence High School chapter of Skills USA. Also from forensics, silver medal for crime scene investigation, Samantha Zajac. Also from the IT program, this is a gold medal winner for business management and technology, Clayton Nascimento. Congratulations. Another gold medal winner from the health occupations program, for Health Career Showcase, Marcus Rocha. Congratulations, Marcus. Another gold medal winner from the automotive program for automotive service technology, Pedro Santos. Congratulations, Pedro. And From the IT program, bronze medal for web design, Jaden Montero. So one thing I neglected to say is that the gold medal winners, first place in the state of Rhode Island, earn the right to compete in the national competition in Atlanta this year. So we wish those students the best of luck. That competition will be taking place towards the end of June. Over, Jaden, come up. There you go. Good job, guys. Good job. Hold it. Good job. Good job, guys. Proud of you. That's a figure. Did you laugh? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next we have next item.
The next item is the consent agenda.
Just for clarification for the committee, I do understand that the document itself has layoffs as well, even though that is listed separately under action items. So I just want to again clarify that this consent agenda is for just the communications and homeschool requests, approval of the minutes, personnel report, bill list, and invoices of the services. Layoffs are, again, under action items separately. Are there any comments, questions, or a motion from the committee regarding the consent agenda?
Through the chair, before we approve the personnel report, the superintendent's personnel report, there's just a resignation that I would like to just take 2 seconds on.
Sure.
Okay. We have a principal that is resigning from the district, and if you just give me 2 seconds. Principal Scott, as you prepare to transition from your role as one of our beloved elementary school principals, I wanted to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for your incredible contributions to our school community. Your dedication, passion, and leadership have touched the lives of countless students, staff, and parents. Thank you for instilling a commitment of excellence and for making our school a place of warmth, learning, and growth. While we will miss you dearly, we wish you all the best in future endeavors. Been with our district for many years, and I wish her the best, and I will miss her very, very much. She has brought a lot of joy to us, and wish her the best, and she's going to be leaving the teaching industry altogether and moving on to something else, so we wish her the best. I will make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Well, let's say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda is approved. Next item, please.
Next is PTO, PTA, EPLAC reports.
I'm sorry? I would love to have my co-chair with me, sure. No? I heard that you're a stand-up comedian. Okay, so I have my little slide presentation for you tonight. I'm going over our wonderful event that we had. This is a photo from the East Bay RI of all of our winners from our recognition. Next slide. So I'm going to start off with our educator category. We had Miss Megan Black from Myron Francis Elementary School. And then for the secondary education educator award, we had Chris Kennedy from Martin Middle School. Next. The paraprofessional, we had Jesse Zabrowski from Silver Spring Elementary School. Support staff, we had our Miss Judy Antonio from our out-of-district coordinator here for our district. She wasn't able to attend, but she did receive her award. Next. For our special services out-of-district, this is a special category that we added for this year, which I am so thankful for, is Miss Jill Podolsky. She's a PE teacher over at Groden Center in Providence. So for us as EPLAC, this was wonderful to see that we are reaching our parents and families that are out of district. In the next category, we had our community resource, which was Mr. Police Sergeant Jay Rogers, and our comfort dog, Mr. Marty. Unfortunately, they were unable to attend, and again, they were unable to attend tonight, but we are getting him his award. Next category, we had our inclusion program, so I want to congratulate the Connection program at Riverside Middle School, Jessica Matuk, Danielle Canavan, Caitlin Dorney, Rob Boyd, Lisa Logan, Heather Furtado, and Rand Bayowski. I hope I said that right. Next category. This is one of our favorite ones as well. It's our student category. And so we had Ray Lynn Moniz and Mason DeMello from Waddington Elementary School. Next. We had Olivia Horta from Waddington, Audrey Flamand from Waddington. Next. Damien Delafave from Waddington, Jason Russo. He's an amazing guy. He actually received 2 nominations from 2 separate families, so he's just a wonderful kid here at the high school. Next. And we also have Alana Placido from Kent Heights Elementary School. And in our next category, we had our wonderful Carla Midgley Award, which is something that as a committee we nominate, and someone who has been nominated prior who exemplifies inclusion to its highest. And this year we awarded Beth Studley. She is a paraprofessional at the East Providence High School. Next, we have our inductees to the Wall of Fame, and it doesn't look like the whole thing is there, so let me go to my list here. So I have Carl Sweeney from the Community Resource, Hope and Faith Drive, Beth Studley, paraprofessional at the high school, Lacey Odison, elementary at the Oldham Pre-K program, Patricia Gargantin is from the Special Education Educator at Martin Middle School. Susan Rodriguez, Special Educator Department Coordinator at Martin Middle School. Kristen Branco, Speech Language Pathologist at Myron Francis Elementary School. And Dana Broden, Occupational Therapist at the high school. And this is our Wall of Fame. Currently, it is at the admin's office, and we have expressed our interest to find a better place, more prominent here at this high school, preferably. So that's something that we need to discuss between admin and see what we can do. But I think it's best that we display it somewhere where a lot of families and parents and teachers and students can see the exemplary staff members that we have in our district. Next. So we'd like to thank all of our contributors that helped us this year. As some of you may or may not know, we are unable to fundraise as a committee. So without the generous support of our school department, school committee, and local businesses like Graphic Inc., Silva Advertising, Rose's Tavern, who did a wonderful job catering our event, the EP Graphics department here at the high school, they did our programs for the night, and then we had the support of Waddington PTA, Kent Heights PTO, Myron Francis PTO, Hennessy PTA, and Orlo PTA, and I apologize, I think there might be 1 or 2 below there. Who am I missing? Jess? RMS, sorry. It's down there, it's just the high school, and Martin, I believe. My graphics got cut off, I apologize. So I do want to thank everyone for their monetary and labor of love for our committee, and we look forward to our next year's event and all the wonderful nominations that we look forward to reading. Next. So they can find anybody that is watching. EPLAC is available through our East Providence School website through the link we have a sublink on EPLAC, and then we also have a Facebook page as well. And now I'm all done. Thank you, Alfred. As a report from our last meeting, we had, here it is, tell us something good. We're always wonderful to hear the tell us something good. So we had Silver Spring Elementary School, Ms. Kendra's kindergarten class. They have emoji points for the classroom that the students get to earn. And they now have a new 5-point emoji, which is Mr. Carl Sweeney, who gets to go and read to all of those students. So they all look forward to earning that little emoji. So I thought that was really nice that they brought to our attention. And then also, one thing that we are working on as a committee as we move forward with finding ways to reach out to our families is to work with the upcoming fall with all of the principals. So we need the help with scheduling of all of the open houses or any welcome back events, meet the teacher nights. Preferably, since we are a very small, and I mean very small committee, we want to be able to reach out and have more parents, is that we are requesting some way to facilitate the option of one, like if it's an open house, if maybe we can do one per night, because there's literally just 1 or 2 of us that can actually meet, and we want to be able to meet all of our families and let them know who we are and that we exist. So we just need some collaboration with the admin and principals with that. And I think that is it. Oh, so our next meeting coming up at the last Wednesday of the month, we do have a workshop. And it's learned from the master trainer, Cheryl Cotter, who has an extensive experience in child psychology and education. This will help caregivers transform their approach to discipline, fostering a healthier, more supportive environment for children's growth and development. We recently had a workshop for the pre-K parents, so we are piggybacking off of that to help the rest of our parents in the school district, not just for our EPLAC students, but for all students here in our district. Some 5 major points. It's empowering your parenting skills, learning effective strategies to create a positive, nurturing environment for children, shifting from the traditional disciplinary methods to a more conscious and compassionate approach. There are evidence-based techniques, they're practical tools and resources that you're going to be able to use immediately at home. Enhance your emotional intelligence, understanding and improving your own emotional intelligence, and better supporting your child's emotional regulation. And then you're building the stronger connections and relationships and empathy, communication, and compassionate, mindful, discipline approach to your children. So that is going to be happening on the 29th, and that is our last EPLAC meeting of this school year. So we encourage everyone to sign up and to come, and that will be held at Kent Heights Library. And if we end up having like a lot of people who want, then we will have to look for an alternative location, because I really would love to have a good attendance for this workshop. Do I have any questions? Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next is the superintendent's report. Dr. Farand.
So I'd just like to start out by recognizing the Teachers of the Year today. We had our ceremony at 4 o'clock today, and we were able to recognize someone from each school and the District Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to Courtney Braga, the high school, Crystal White, Riverside, Kelly Groff, Martin, Megan Black, Francis, Jill Ackerman, Hennessy, Tracy Andrews, Kent Heights, Caitlin Barron, Shaska, Pre-K, Lauren Keandra, Silver Spring, Kylie Austerhout, Waddington, and Paula Saracen from White Neck. And our District Teacher of the Year was Kathy Rietheimer from Orlo. Congratulations to everyone, and Kathy will represent us next year with the State Teacher of the Year. And next, I'd like to call up Soledad Barreto and Tony Ann Napolitano, principals of Kent Heights and Hennessy, to do a presentation on their schools.
PowerPoints? Are there PowerPoints as well? Okay, so we'll sit in the audience.
Good evening. My name is Soledad Barreto. I joined Kent Heights this year as the principal, and I'm here to talk a little bit about what we've been working on as a school community. If I can go to the next slide. The school had established when I had gotten there that We are kind, hardworking, and safe, but as a school community, we wanted to start by developing a joint identity. So we worked together with our students, parents, and teachers and created an entire new mascot and logo for the school and have kind of taken off with that work. So we are now the Kent Heights Knights. Next slide, please. When I arrived at Kent Heights, I spent a lot of time trying to get to know the staff, the families, the students. I tried to have open hours because I was new to the community myself. And I wanted to kind of figure out what the needs were, and over, it didn't matter who I talked to, whether it was a parent, a teacher, and even students, the idea of joy and community and voice kept coming up. So this year, one of our main goals has been to give everyone in the school community more voice and to bring some joy into the school community. And we've started doing that in a variety of different ways. So next slide. One of the first things we did, or that I tried to do, was work with the team to really build up our community and work together. We have lots of teams in the building, but in particular, I'm most proud this year of our attendance team. We've come together and decreased our chronically absenteeism rate by over 5% this year. We are a comprehensive team that includes our social worker, grade level representation from most of our teachers, and it's really a weekly ongoing event where we're reaching out to families. All of our staff works together to reach out to families. We work closely with our students to recognize their improvements and to kind of build that traction and momentum. The other thing we kind of did this year was also give the teachers a little bit of voice and choice in committees that they wanted. So we have a fully staffed school spirit team that's just the staff. So they're working with the families and the students to bring some of these fun activities every month for the kids to engage in and families get involved. And in a way to try to bring our team together, I found that when I got there, a lot of the teachers didn't actually talk to each other, which was kind of interesting. So we brought these monthly staff game days in. Doesn't take away from teaching and learning, but has brought everybody to the table to converse, to interact, and just have a little bit of fun. And the kids have gotten involved. So they're little silly things like, do you have during Valentine's Day, a heart in your pocket? And they get to steal this token from each other. And then we call out prizes. But it's gotten people to engage, laugh together, and work together. And it's fun to see the kids kind of enjoy the adults enjoying each other. And it's brought a different levity and lightness to the building where everybody's kind of collaborating in new ways. And with grade level CPT, we still wanted to keep the focus on the work because joy is one thing, but making sure that we're focused on instruction is always the priority. But I switched it up a little bit this year so that teachers have voice and choice. So we have a rolling agenda for each of our grade level teams. I always have something on that agenda, but more often than not, they're building the agenda themselves. They're identifying what their areas of need are, who they want to work with. So sometimes we really need to talk to the resource teachers and understand what's going on so that we can better serve our students with different abilities. Or we'd really like to have the MLL teachers at the table so that we can better understand how to support our language learners. And they're creating their own agendas and they're helping to build their own learning and again, build that collaboration with each other. And it's not just me driving that work, it's all of us and recognizing that we all have different and unique needs. So kindergarten's not doing the same thing as grade 5, that's not doing the same thing as grade 3. It's really team driven and that's made a huge shift in how we work together as a team. Next slide, please. We've also done a lot of work with our students. We've given them lots of voice, and we've tried to build in a lot of recognition. So we brought back the Student of the Month, which hadn't happened in a long time in the building. We've brought in reward systems for students who not only have perfect attendance, but who are also improving their attendance. We have shifted, and we have a kindness crew in the building. The kindness crew works with being kind to each other as students, but also being kind to our staff. We have kiddos volunteering their recess time on their own with their own ideas to help the custodian, because he's a lone soldier in the building and they recognize that, and they try to help by just, even if it's wiping down the tables after their lunch. So it's recognizing all of these things. We've also brought in the 5th grade town hall meetings, where we're building the leadership skills of our 5th grade students, giving them some voice in the topics that we discuss, how we discuss them, and then just doing overall preparedness, especially now for their next chapter in middle school. And we've also been working on building positive behaviors and shifting that mindset of the principal as being the bad guy in the building or somebody to be scared of, but now we have positive principal referrals, and that has been a huge shift because I get to also have the fun phone calls home. So when a kiddo gets a positive principal referral, they get sent to the office. Their parents get a phone call with the child on the phone to tell them exactly what was said about their child, and it's usually going above and beyond either academically or socially. And their child earns a prize, and then they get entered into a raffle, and we select 5 students a month to have lunch with me. And those 5 kids, in addition to having lunch, also have voice in what are the next kinds of prizes that we're offering, what are the next kinds of incentives, and just, again, getting to hear different kiddos' perspectives on what we're doing to improve our school community. We also had one of our staff members work with the music teacher to build a school song, which I thought was kind of fun. The kids got really into it. It's to the beat of the Wednesday Addams theme song. And it's just become something else that the school does together. We have kids singing it in the hallways, and it's just, again, another way to bring that community together. And next slide. Finally, we've been really thinking about our parents and how we bring them in. So I will say, coming into Kent Heights, there's a strong family component. So we've just worked with the PTO and the team at the school to bring even more events that are engaging families in different ways. So this past month, we hosted our first multicultural night. We had over 330 people at the building. We shared dinner together. We shared different projects representing different cultures around the world, and specifically the cultures represented in the building. And the other thing that we've brought on is Coffee on the Curb. And even though it's a low-key event, it's not this fancy thing, but we come out this month. It'll be twice a month on a Friday morning. I make coffee for the parents. We have some pastries, and it's just casual conversation. So it's interacting with families in different ways. It's getting families who normally don't have the opportunity to interact with each other to interact together. And it's brought our teachers out. And our staff out. I would say our school nurse this is probably her favorite event when we have Coffee on the Curb. She comes out, she gets to see the families. Sometimes it's to make sure that we have an updated vaccination record, but sometimes it's just to see a family member and just have a chit chat. And it's just been one of the ways for me that we get families to come in, but also linger a little bit in a really casual way, but just bringing more people in. And for me, it's been a lot of fun to kind of get to know families on this positive light. So that's been our focus this year, is really how we build and enhance our community. And if we can go to the next slide. These are just some of the highlights from this year that we've kind of done to build our community, whether it's from Multicultural Night, Coffee on the Curb, the 100th Day, all the different events that we've had to kind of just bring everybody together and bring some of that joy back into the building. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tony Napolitano, and this is my second year as principal at Hennessy Elementary School. Next slide, please. So at Hennessy, we did some work in the beginning of the year to look for ways that we could align to the 6 major areas of focus of the district's strategic plan in terms of what do these 6 areas look, feel, and sound like at the elementary level, but also in each grade level from K to 5, and to try to align future work according to the district's strategic plan. Next slide, please. So our core values are Hennessy heroes, are safe, respectful, and proud, and we have that in the building, and when we have conversations with students, we remind them of these core values, and these are also part of the core values that are celebrated in our monthly hero assemblies. Next slide, please. So one of the celebrations we had this year was an increase in our test scores. We had an increase in ELA of 8.5%, 11.2% in math, and 11.6% in science. We exceeded our school improvement goals for reading and math by 5.5 and 8.2% respectively. We are still a 2-star elementary school. We were going to 3 stars. We made the points, but because RIDE added science as a criteria, it upped the ante for the numbers. So we were there, but then they raised it. So our goal is to try to make sure that we keep striving to get another accountability star. One of the areas of work that we focused on this year was our writing program, SRSD. Between lighthouse visits and classroom visits, PD, we are a cohort year 2 school for the writing program. We saw pockets of where the writing program helped to increase our reading scores, and we are hopeful that once again in November, we will see even more of an increase in our ELA scores due to our fabulous writing program. Next slide, please. So with our school improvement plan, we are going to continue with the goals of increasing achievement in ELA and math by 3%, and now we are adding a science goal as well. So our first goal will become an academic achievement goal that will encompass ELA, math, and science. Family engagement, we are in the process in June of amending and updating our plan. We're just awaiting for the Survey Works family results data. SCL, we are waiting for our final results of the last Satchel Pulse screening, and our attendance efforts have been working, so we're going to continue with our goals for attendance. We are currently in a battle with Kent Heights for the #1 spot, and every other day and every other week, Soledad and I tease each other about who bumps each other out of the #1 spot. So hopefully we're going to end the year with #1. Okay, next slide, please. For social emotional, we have the zones of regulation curriculum. We have a 5-day-a-week social worker full-time, and we have a 4-day-a-week school psychologist. And our classroom teachers implement this SEL curriculum by being the check-in and check-out point people for certain students. We have morning meetings that are all geared towards social and emotional learning. Our support staff have groups. They see students on an individual level and are always available and go into the classroom for some proactive work as well around social emotional learning. Next slide, please. For our family engagement, we have a really active PTA, and they are absolutely amazing. They have monthly PTA events. They have monthly meetings. Every month they have monthly fundraisers, and they're the reason why we're able to put these kinds of family events on for our students. They not only fundraise for the events, but they plan it and execute it. They have amazing ideas, and our PTA funds our field trips and the transportation costs for our field trips as well. So they are very active, and they are a big part of our school community. Next slide, please. So for attendance, we have quarterly incentive rewards for students, and they change every so often. Teachers reach out to parents when the students are absent to see if they could be of any support or to find out why. Our Dean of Students works tirelessly on attendance with the rewards and making sure that when students come to school, she lets them know she's glad that they're there, as we all do, and we can intervene on behalf if they need any support in getting to school or to see what it is. We were also able, through the Boys and Girls Club, to get a van that takes kids to school who don't really qualify for a bus and were truant or absent, and now they're coming to school on time and coming to school, which we're very grateful for. Next slide, please. We love to recognize our students. We have a monthly hero assembly where the students are bestowed capes. There's one student from every class that's nominated by the teacher. We have positive office referrals that the teachers submit and put in my mailbox, and then I'll acknowledge the student. We take their picture in front of our positive office referral. Their picture goes on there, and then at our monthly assemblies, those students are asked to stand and we acknowledge them and clap for them. And that's for students who go above and beyond and exemplify our core values. Next slide. So it takes a village, and Hennessy is certainly an example of that. We have an on-site HES family navigator, and on Tuesdays host a play group for some of our families. We work with the Boys and Girls Club for after-school programming and through the 21st Century Grant. We have clothing drives through Hope and Faith, Mr. Sweeney, and he was also able to help set us up. And every Friday, we have our students in our self-contained rooms go around with the kindness cart, spreading some kindness with snacks and goodies to all staff members. The PTA, family events, fundraising, and school support. We've become a unified champion school with Special Olympics last year, and they come to present every February to us, and we have a youth advisory council after school club, and they take books about inclusion and differences, and they read to all of the grades twice a year about those topics. We are partnered with Alan Sean Feinstein Foundation. Recently, one of our students won $500 that she could donate to a charity. She chose the Ronald McDonald House, so they will be receiving a check from one of our 5th grade students. And we have Hope and Faith Drive, where every so often, Mr. Sweeney will come and he'll hang up clothes and he'll put out toys or hats, gloves, scarves, and I'll get coffee and we can just stand out there and parents can come and they can just take the things that they need. And it's a really nice time to just engage with the community. Next slide, please. Recently, one of our students was nominated by our MLL teacher, Mrs. Jen Sweeney. And he won Elementary Student of the Year for the Rhode Island Teachers of English Language Learners. And he was awarded this last week in Cranston at Garden City Elementary School. And we were so proud of Victor. He did a wonderful job, and it's something that our school really celebrated, and we're really proud of. Next slide, please. None of this could be possible without the wonderful faculty and staff at Hennessy. Teachers don't say that's not my student. They're all of everyone's students, and they go above and beyond, not only for the academic success of the students, but for the social, emotional aspect of students as well. They want to make sure students are safe, are having a great school experience, are learning, and engage with their families. And it's one of the best faculties I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Next slide. And this is just a screenshot. These are some pretty happy Hennessy heroes we have. And if any of you would ever like to come and visit, we have the kindness card on a Friday if you ever want to come to visit Hennessy and have some goodies and have our students spread some kindness to you. That concludes the presentation. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Very much for the amazing presentations. It's always a pleasure hearing from our principals in our district about the great initiatives and hard work that they're doing. So thank you.
Facilities update.
Good evening, everyone. Some brief updates on a whole bunch of stuff. I'll be brief, however. If you have any questions, feel free to fire away. As I mentioned, the topic out at Martin Middle School, major construction taking place is proceeding in an overall positive manner. Naturally, the soil contamination is an issue that has been held in 3 public meetings, and all kinds of information is available in that regard. If you want the information that is publicly made available by SAGE, Incorporated. Those are the environmental folks that have been retained by the construction manager. Feel free to ask myself or the superintendent. Be happy to forward that information. At Riverside, as young Miss Peta offered earlier, no, it was Mr. Melman, I believe. The office and classroom window replacement is 98% complete. A firm called Lockheed, has moved through that school with extraordinary effort and speed and done a super job putting those windows in place. Right now, it's just a matter of getting the shades in. All the shades at Riverside will be replaced, and also some window sills still need to be installed. Lockheed is also doing the installation of the library storefront windows, which are scheduled to begin Monday of this coming week. The storefront windows are those large 2-story windows that face the large field. They are some big, big windows. Not the ones on the inside, facing the inside of the building, but the ones that face outside. Those will start to be demolished and installed on Monday the 20th. The science classroom reconfiguration is back on track after rediscovering some unexpected asbestos, but that is back according to schedule. The Collins Construction Group has begun the improvements in the library as well. So like Lockheed is doing the windows, Collins is doing the overall improvements in the library. They are working together, kind of overlap each other at different times, but they're working well together to achieve their individual ends. A new freezer refrigerator is on track for installation this summer. As I mentioned actually last month, the concrete pad has been measured and is laid out and will be installed within the next 3 weeks. On that concrete pad will be this exterior refrigerator and freezer that butts up against the wall. So we're going to be cutting a new door into the side of the school, which will then allow access into this new refrigerator freezer walk-in unit. That's Riverside. Myron J. Francis, I spoke with Next Gen today. They are poised to install the new boiler at Myron J. Francis. They're going to demo the current boiler the week of June 17th through 23rd, and then make way for, they're going to stand down for 3 weeks while we have, I always forget, Camp Invention, thank you. That won't be over until the second week in July. Then they come back in for the second week of July, and the first week of August they'll be installing that new boiler. So that is on track to happen in that regard. A quick review of spring recess district-wide facilities. The Orlo Playground fence replacement was completed. The courtyard, however, was pushed off until summer. Silver Spring vent cleaning was completed. Myron J. Francis gym ceiling-mounted air handling units were completed. We have to get way up there into the high ceiling in there, so that happens twice a year, and that was done over the spring break. The gym divider wall at Riverside Middle School was also installed by an outside vendor. Also, Riverside, that had been plagued by dirty water occasionally, was found to be the water heater was aged, so that water heater was removed and replaced with a new one by our own in-house plumbers, and that was complete as well. We also swapped out an old univent, that is an old heater in a classroom at White Neck, for one that we had on hand, so we did an even swap there. And that too was done by our in-house HVAC technicians and our plumbers. The alternative learning classrooms in the administration building, as of yesterday, we're about 98% complete. We have a little trim there, a little final cleanup, and we're going to install the desks and the desks, chairs, and the teachers' tables in there probably within the next 2 weeks. So those 2 classrooms will be up and ready to receive students well before the deadline of September. Lastly, we're looking to auction, donate, or discard a large amount, not a large amount, but a fair amount of underutilized or unutilized school district property. And I believe you see it on your list there in front of you. If you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to field those. That concludes my report. Is there anything more anybody would like to question or add? Very well.
Next, we have the finance update.
Good evening, everyone. We are halfway through the fiscal year, and we remain on track pretty much in all of our areas. So we're in good shape. Are there any particular questions that you have? I'll be glad to answer. But we are in good shape. We're halfway through, and we're holding steady with our expenses, and the revenues are coming in as expected.
Questions or comments?
Through the chair. Do you know if we got the $10,000 yet from that we discussed back in December from the state reimbursement for the bridge?
To the best of my knowledge, we have not.
We have not. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Thank you.
Well, Craig, we'll be calling you up when it's the building committee report, just so you know. Next item, please.
Next is the policy committee report.
So, Max had proposed this, updating the policy regarding the creation of policies. So I had added section 3, the last paragraph. That's the primary change in this policy. It again puts it on the school committee. And again, that's the committee as a whole to work together towards identifying policies that may need either updates or maybe in addition or taking out a policy, for example. That's with the intent of the committee working together and presenting that to the policy committee so that they can take that year to work towards whatever proposals that the rest of the committee has in mind. I think that way the policy committee also has items to work throughout the year, and I feel like that way also the rest of the committee gets to also refresh their mind on some of the policies. I know we have plenty, but that way I think we're also following our responsibility. It is solely the fall on the superintendent and school district. But again, it should be, I'm not sure if anyone has any questions or comments regarding the changes that were made.
I'll just say that I'm fully supportive of the changes that are made, as well as this policy as a whole, as how it's written, because I think it will help ensure that we keep ourselves accountable in terms of reviewing all of our policies, making sure that we don't just neglect to review policies and let them sit there for years without really noticing them or thinking about them. So I think this just keeps us accountable to keeping our policies up to date.
Also, like a sort of deadline as well, which is nice. Sorry. Anything else to add, Jessica?
I got this cool microphone. No, I agree. What we just said may turn this policy that I wrote into mush. So, but no, I agree. I do look at our policies. I mean, I still have the book from 2014 with the hard copy at home. I know. it's a long time ago. You know, we rip out as we go through, and there are some that need to stay, and there are a lot that need to go. I also agree that we need to make policies, but I also don't want to sit here and pretend I know how to run a classroom with policy. I think that's, you know, I think we need to take into consideration that a lot of our policies will need a lot of opinions, and that be say tonight, I did not put the policy that we need to pass quickly, or not quickly, we've had it already for first read, but this one on student behavior, because I told you guys that I wanted to have that acknowledgement form, which I found a really good one that I'm happy with. So now at our next meeting, we can have that for the public to see, and it will be in full the way that I would like to put it out there beforehand. So that's, I think, where we're at. I think we need to really make sure the policies that we plan to stick, you know, that need to be followed to stop some of the stuff that, you know, stop. So,
Just for a point of clarification, I don't want it to be like the superintendent's responsibility to also identify what we need to work on.
Right.
So that's a part of the thought into preparing that policy. That it's not on the superintendent or the district to tell us, you know, what needs to be prioritized. You know, but we should definitely work together, of course.
I think it's great. Yeah. No.
Comments?
Could I just make one comment? And it's not related to anything directly written in this policy. It's just something that I just wanted to say, because I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I know it's something that a few of us at least have mentioned over the years. But what's it going to take to make it so that way when we're looking at policies on the district website, we don't have to download a PDF and log in with our email just to read the policy on the website? Because whenever we're like reviewing a policy on the website, like, you know what I mean, right? It's not like just where you click on a link and you review it on the website. You have to download the whole PDF every time you look at a policy, at least for me. And I'm just not sure if there's a way to kind of change that on the website and just make it more simple and accessible for people to read.
So I know the superintendent had mentioned, I remember how long ago, but you had mentioned that we were potentially looking at a grant to be able to help us redesign the district website. I wasn't sure if that was still something that was in the process of being requested, or kind of where we're.
So we know the district website is an issue. We've actually built some Google sites off it. You'll see like the teaching and learning site, the special education site. So we are revamping it as we go. And we actually did talk to Mr. Hanlon about it, because the CTC did the police and fire website. So we're in the process. It is something on our list. I've started. So the Google sites are easier to maintain because the that particular site can maintain it themselves. We have kind of shifted some over to that off of the website.
I feel like, were you going to say something? I don't know.
I just want to say thank you for bringing that to my attention. All those times I've looked, I've never realized that I have to do that.
Yeah, you have to log into an email.
I think I just.
It's frustrating.
I think I just do. Look at all the emails that just come up for me to pick.
Yep.
So I think I just realized.
So it means if you don't have an email, technically you can't really read it, right?
Correct. That's what it means. Or somebody in the world is tracking us. I mean, it's on my phone. I don't know if I was at a desktop computer, if that would do that.
Mine automatically logs, like,
So that's what I'm
everything's logged
wondering.
in, so I didn't even know that was
I
an
think for
issue.
my work computer, I can automatically do it, because I don't remember. No, I can't. Okay, no, I can't. Yeah, we definitely need a more.
Potentially start to have those discussions with our CTC program then? Project for next year? Yeah, like, exactly. I don't want to use our
Community
students.
partnership.
I don't want to use our students for
I don't know,
free
wait,
labor,
how
but
did the police and fire pay us?
we can have a discussion for that for next time. How about that? So that way we can have all that information.
I would like to know that information. Okay, so the second one, so this one is just in absence of a policy. I'll read it. The superintendent should have the power and authority to address and, if necessary, resolve any situation that is not covered by East Providence School Committee policy. So something happens, it's not a policy, superintendent deals with it. Superintendent shall inform the school committee as soon as possible that action has been taken, and the decision will be subject to review by the school committee, and if at that point a policy needs to be adopted, then we can adopt a policy for similar situations in the future. That's all this policy has. There is about 8 similar districts in the area that have that policy. I didn't invent this one on my own.
I think it's pretty straightforward, and I think it's useful to have on our end as well, though, just so it's clear that it's not being held from being able to take action. Posting it with 48 hours, so.
Again, that's first read, so any comments, questions? Everybody knows how to reach me. If you don't like it, you can throw it away. If you don't see a need for it.
Questions or comments regarding the administration in the absence of policy? Next item, please.
Building committee report.
Good evening again.
Before you start, Craig, I know there was a lot of development yesterday, so if you could kind of hit the high school first and then go into the...
That's exactly what I was planning.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as you're aware, so last night we had the monthly building committee meetings. We had the meeting for the high school first, followed by the Martin project. One of the main discussion points that we talked about last night for the high school meeting was the project closeout and the numbers for the high school project. Over the past number of months, a team effort between myself, Malcolm Moore, the city director of finance, and our owner's project manager from the Peregrine Group. We've been reviewing to make sure that all of the numbers that I had, that the project manager had, that the city had, that everything matched. So tonight, I think we're going to be sharing, I think, some very good news. So if you recall, so our total project budget for the high school was $189,500,000. So out of that, so as of 4/30/24, so spent and paid to date, we are just at 182.5. For the rest of the project, between owner's project manager fees, which at this point are very, very small, any projected architect services that we may need, and believe it or not, we still have some furniture, fixtures, and equipment invoices that are still coming in. So we've got about $75,000 worth of that we know that we are projecting to spend. So for the spent to date, plus the projected left to spend of the $75,000, that brings us to $182,574,000 and change. The building committee has been working over the past couple months of looking at if there are other items, pieces of equipment, and other things that we need here for the high school that weren't included in the beginning that would be good to have. So we have come up with that list. The building committee is going to be formally approving that at their meeting next month. A lot of these items are going to be, you'll be seeing that for the next month as well. They're actually in the handout too that we gave you. But so that total between equipment, services, technology, needs because we ended up bringing a lot of technology that was at that time was relatively new from the old high school into this school, and now it's old. So that amount for what we're looking at is about 3.5, say. So with that being said, we are looking at a balance left over of about 3.3 million, which is a very good place for us to be. A building that was on time and at this point $3.3 million under budget. That's by the incredible hard work by the project team, by the administration, by the school committee, by the city. It was a team effort for all of us. So a very good place for us to be. Now, for the items that we need to order for the high school, we're going to be doing RFPs for some of those. So the 3.3 million could actually grow depending upon as the RFP results come in. So there's going to be a little bit of swing there, but this is a very good place for us to be. So at this point, the school committee, so we're going to be obviously keeping you very up to date as to how we are progressing on the list of items that we have, but eventually it will be up to you to decide in terms of the balance and when that balance will be reverted back to the city. Any questions? Because it'll be up to the school committee that there may be items that the school committee come up and say, we need something else. I don't know, right? But in the end, in terms of that, the money for the bond, whatever balance is left, you're going to have to, I believe, and I can check with legal with our lawyer, but I think you're going to have to formally give that money back to the city for them whatever to do.
Would there be a timeline? Because back in November there was a timeline, like we got the exact dollar amounts now, but in November we were looking at some kind of time frame. Somebody was going to research.
Yeah. So in meetings that the superintendent and I have had with the legal counsel, with the bond legal counsel. Sorry, she had said that we really do need to make progress. We can't be waiting a year to spend these funds. So we really need to move forward, which is what we're planning on doing, and to utilize these funds.
Tony,
Just another question for you, Greg, is can we research if we gave this money back to the city, if they could give it back to us and we put it in a capital improvement fund and then we could be reimbursed 50%?
Funny enough, I was going to say the same thing. If there's like an agreement that we could do potentially with the city to get that money back, to at least help us out with capital improvements, I believe that would have to be obviously with the vote of the school committee, I would presume, and like any other agreement.
Sure. I can research that with the legal counsel, and then I'll let you all know.
Yeah, because as you know, sitting here, Judge, for years, how we, added back into that over many years. We got a lot of great projects.
Absolutely.
Every one of our elementary schools are sprinkled.
Through the housing aid reimbursement, correct? Yep.
So if we could ever get our hands back on that 3.3 million, we could roll that over to 6.6 million almost within a year time. The superintendent's got a great wish list that we could work on. So that would be a really quick item that if we can get some answers from maybe the next school committee meeting, that if we could roll that over back to the city rolls it back to us, and then we put it in capital improvement. I think that'd be a great help for us, that we can roll it into other buildings. Thank you.
Sure.
And I want to thank everybody on the building committee as yourself for the great work that you've did over the years. Thank you.
You know, again, I will say this project was a team effort. The city finance, valuable team player, our project manager, the building committee, the school committee, team effort. Townie pride at its best.
If it comes out that, while you're researching our next school committee meeting, if we can in fact enter an agreement, if you
Oh, sure.
start trying to see if
Sure.
have as much information as possible before our next meeting. That's just my thought, though. I'm not sure if the service would be okay with them to kind of inquiring about that.
Sure.
In the meantime.
Absolutely.
Yes. They can't hear you, so if you could.
Oh.
No, over here.
Oh, sorry. And another thing, do you think this list of, from the building committee will be done then by the next meeting?
Yeah, basically the list is done. We are going to do a formal vote on it. So.
Have it by the school committee's regular?
I'm sorry, what?
We would have it by the school committee's regular
Correct.
meeting as well? Okay.
Correct, yep.
So let's look at the list. So the building committee did this list, right?
Correct.
So the building committee, can I just ask a question? Were there any other coaches besides football on talking about, just asking, because I want to know. I just want to see, does any more athletic coaches want anything for their teams?
Not to my knowledge.
Well, how would they know?
Yeah.
I just want to know. Like, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I really am. I really am. I mean, obviously, like the security stuff, huge. Of course, because like you said, some of the stuff came from the old high school. I'm all for it. Like, I completely understand. And we need to use definitely technology. But again, I think if you're going to buy a tripod for filming one, we're going to buy a tripod for whomever. Like, that's how I feel. I really do. I really think that we need to look at everything. We've talked about getting some benches for the baseball field, for the for the softball field. I think we need to look at everything. And again, I'm not on the building committee for the high school, but I am for Martin, and I didn't get to be part of any of this, but I am on the school committee who will get to vote on this. And I do think that, for $5,500, maybe we can add, if there's another athletic sports coach that wants something, maybe we could add it. So maybe we can look into that. It's a shame that we also have to put stuff on here that costs money for vandalism. And I know we have to. I mean, we know we have to, but it's a shame that
Yep.
we have to do that. So that people, and the two-way radios, I know that the ones that we have were all donated, so we do have to buy them. That's, and I'd say we need more than that. So, the ones that we have were donated, and we have donated ones. And so I really think that, Tony, like you said, that's the number, but without going out for RFP, we really don't know what the number is on this. So I'm just saying, I like what's on here, but I also like the fact that I want to make sure that we have included everything and everybody before we go ahead and just put a stamp on this one. I'm sure I'll get a lot of phone calls tomorrow from the people telling me I shouldn't have opened my mouth, but I agree, again, we got to look at everybody, not just the popular. Thank you.
Justin, just if I can follow up with that, we have to keep in mind that the voters voted for this, this bond to build this building, and I haven't really got a chance. I want to go through the list like we're all going to do, but Craig, it's a fair assumption to say that the original number was close to $7 million under budget.
Correct.
In other words, so I just want that put out there because
Absolutely.
the way it's presented now.
I'm sorry, Tony. Yeah,
so
no, you aren't.
That, the three,
Yep.
the 3.3 that we may be looking at. The true number was close to
$7 million. Yep.
that team saved the
Correct. Yep.
taxpayers on this building. So we sitting here to do our due diligence is to look at the 23 items that they came up with, and we have to look at them and say, was that really building related? Because an important factor here is if we can increase that number to $5 million, give back to the city gives it back, and we reimburse 50%. It's an economic win if we can use that throughout the district. So I need to know is, with the facilities director, the superintendent, what some immediate items, we know we would love to look at all the univents in the district, whatever else the superintendent looks at, come up with a number, bring it back to the school committee, and then we can pick that 23 items apart. Like Jess said, she may get a lot of phone calls. Phone calls are phone calls. We speak the truth. We do the best we can here as an elected body. But it'd be great to say if we could slash some of them items off of that, only if the city is going to be able to give the money back. If not, I'm all for giving this money completely to this high school and give whatever. If legally we could do that. I just have a little bit of an issue of somebody bonding money for a building, and then we can go out and buy sports events with it and stuff. But if we can, that's beyond my pay grade, that's up to you guys. But I'd love to see as much as possible come back to us, give it to the city, flip it back to us, and we can use it on any buildings we want in the district. That is something that we have to look at, and I don't think we should rush that. So I want to thank you again, Craig,
Agree.
for all your hard work on this. Thank you.
And then just in terms of the other portions, for the Martin and Waddington projects, so there were some electrical upgrades that took place at Waddington over the April break to start to get us ready for the summer work. So the 17th of June, the first phase of the Waddington project is going to be going into full swing for the summer, for the back half of the building. Martin, as Director Murphy had mentioned, so again, last night we had Jacob Butterworth from Sage Environmental, who gave us the presentation for, I think for the third time, that we had seen about the soils, the condition of the soils at Martin. Shawmut is still doing work, so they are getting the gymnasium ready. They're buying out the project, so they're not standing still. So everything is moving forward as director. Very busy.
Just to confirm again, Craig, construction has continued
At Martin, correct. Yep.
I really enjoyed the same presentation that was provided to the abutters, as well as the teachers and staff at Martin Middle School received was very enlightening, very clear, and said very much layman's terms, it seems like the report was sent out to RIDEM, is that correct?
Correct.
Do we know at what point we should be expecting to get that back?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I think they did send some correspondence that they had some additional questions, and so we need to provide that information back.
At some point, whenever we get a response from the state.
Sure. Yep, the response from DEM.
But that way the committee also gets to see
Yep.
what the findings were. The next part too, just for the public to know, he also went into what the soil will be done, like what they will be doing with the soil, right? Isn't it like 6 feet of soil will be removed from the top, about 6 feet, and then put new uncontaminated soil, and then on top of that, what, like 2 inches of asphalt essentially? So they're doing their best to make sure that, you know, not only are we abiding by state guidelines, but as well as making sure that it's clear to people what they mean by that. So.
Yep.
Questions or comments regarding either of those two projects?
One more question. I think Chris might be able to answer this, so if you get a chance, when we say the electrical upgrade,
So Chris, can you help me out with that?
yeah, I'll wait for him to get down here. Sorry, Chris, I should actually up here, but
That's
when we
all
say the electrical upgrade, did we upgrade the whole service to the building?
That's correct, the entire building. So whatever service was there, the proposed upgrades to the building would not have been able to have been possible with the current service of electricity or the electrical service. So it was the entire building was upgraded.
Could you just get that, because that's very important, you know, whenever we can do that, but like, it basically, if they went from a 600 to an 800 amp service or a 400 up, could you just let the committee, if you could look into that and let us know?
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely.
That's very important to do going forward, Chris, if we wish we could do it to all our buildings, but
Sure.
it's cool if we chipped away at that.
okay.
That's a major milestone that, you know, the city can do that to at least one school so far.
Certainly.
Thank
So
you for that.
from what it was to what it is now.
Yes,
You bet.
absolutely.
Happy to do that.
Craig, is there any other updates you want to give to us regarding what, I think Chris already covered a good chunk of it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure if you wanted
Nope,
to
I'm
add
good.
anything else.
All set, thank you.
All right. Next item, please.
Next is discussion items.
The only discussion item that we have for tonight is public comment and questions and answers. I think we covered a good chunk of it regarding the safety measures taken at the Martin Middle School project right now. I'm not sure if
Right.
additional
So, yeah,
stuff you want to
so
go into.
We want to bring this up because when we had public comment, it's been coming up, we can't answer you. It is because back in, and I don't know, it's in our bylaws, we can change anything. That's up to the committee. At this point, I'm not ready to change it just because the conversation can go back and forth for hours based on I said something, you said something, you may disagree, and then a conversation starts here. So if we want to have a conversation with the person speaking at the microphone, that's up to you guys individually, how you guys want to handle this. This is up for discussion right now. This is why I asked for it to be on. I have no problem emailing any constituent the next day or a phone call the next morning or at our next meeting bringing it up and getting answers. The problem that is happening is if people come up to the microphone and they're not being answered. So even if we don't know the answer, I think we need to be able to tell the people we don't have an answer or ask them to leave their phone number or their email address at the table. So we had a town hall meeting in Ward 4 a couple weeks ago, and people stayed after and met with me afterwards, and there were answers I couldn't answer them at the time, so I just said, can you please leave me your email and I will get back to you, or your phone number, and I will answer you when I can with the information I can get you, and I did. So I think that's what we need to do in order to get the information to the people, but to have people come up and get information or to come up and give wrong information and then the people out there see it, I think is where we have to be careful. And I will give you an example. Let's say someone comes up and asks a question about a lunch problem, okay? And we don't answer that person's never gonna come back or is never gonna trust us to give them an answer. So we need to be able to come up with a way that we can give them answers. Or if a constituent or a parent comes up about a bullying problem and we don't answer that person, or administration, we don't direct administration to answer that person, we're not giving them any concise or considerate answers. that they're never going to come back. So that's where we need to figure out what we're going to do about the public comment and how we're going to address it. And that's my only concern, and that's what I wanted to bring it up tonight.
I think we can add an extra column to the sign-in sheet. Do you think that would be a solution, Sharon, to just add a column that says, contact information in the event that you would like, for us to follow up with you? That way it's right there, it's all together, and it's documented formally. So I agree though. But I think so far people have been reaching out if they've had any questions or concerns so far, but I do realize that it's not always going to be a best system because we may not be familiar with them to follow up. So I'm in agreement with that. We could definitely add a column.
Just to follow up with the two last statements. Yes, I'm going back for many years when we had the public comment, we did limit it, which I thought we could have bumped it up to 5 minutes. So when we had it for years, the public comment question and answer was limited to 3 minutes. Just to avoid that situation when we said going back and forth. I would have liked to have seen it at 5 minutes back in the day. Back years when we had that, it basically, went back and forth. Somebody would ask a question. If one of us had the answer, we would be able to respond. But it all fell under that 3-minute time frame. If we didn't have the answer, somebody would,
And the other reason for the change as well, just to add, is the concern also sometimes that we think we have the right answer, and then when we look into something, it's actually a little bit different than from what we expected. So I think a lot of it is also the committee's intent to make sure that we are always providing the correct information, because we realize it is permanently documented, not just online, but also in our minutes, and we want to make sure that all the information that we give to our parents, families, constituents have it. And as we know, a lot of things can also change in a matter of, sometimes hours. So there's also that concern. I'm not sure if anyone else has any additional questions or comments regarding this. Next item, please. Item, please.
Next item is public comments.
There are no public comments.
Sorry, Sharon, I forgot to sign up. Just in respect to what you were just discussing, I come up quite often and I don't get answers. So I am one of those parents that are concerned about this Q&As going back and forth. I understand that we don't want the rhetoric going back and forth, but I do appreciate the decency of respect to answer a simple question sometimes. I understand that you want to have full knowledge based on your answer, but maybe make it an action item for y'all to get back to whoever is speaking at the public comment. Maybe delegate it to one of you to answer back to that person, because we do want to encourage parents to come up, and when you don't get an answer, they're not going to come back and they feel like their voice is not being heard or listened to. So that's something that I would appreciate. Having my personal contact information on there, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable with that, because I'm not granted, there's nobody here, but in case there's somebody is, maybe I don't want someone else who is signing up to have my personal contact information. So maybe asking the parent, or y'all have my email address, but for privacy reasons, I feel, I don't know, maybe this is a public meeting, maybe there's, other protocols, but I also feel that someone after a meeting, if you can't do that Q&A, and I completely understand that, go up to that parent and get that information, or maybe having that sign up or something at the end of this table so they can privately give you the information, because I wouldn't want some random stranger having my cell phone number or my email. So, but if that's part of a public meeting, then so be it. But that's just my 2 cents. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Item, please.
Next is action items.
Comments from the committee? Sorry. Any comments from the committee regarding the first item, consider and vote to approve the administrative salary ranges? There seems to be no appetite from the committee to make a motion on this.
No, I'll make a motion to approve the salary ranges.
Second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
I'll vote nay. And since, I'll say my comments now. Just based on the documentation that has been provided, for myself at least, I didn't think that there was substantive documentation to support this item. There are also other positions on there that have been, that I, at least myself, I have shared that I'm not supportive of specific positions getting increases. I won't go into the details of it, but I have communicated that to the committee and the superintendent. But I just wanted to, share just my brief thoughts to the district. It's not by any means saying that I don't think any of the administrators don't deserve the salary ranges. It's just, I understand that this item is together as a whole. And in my opinion at least, I don't believe that all the administrators, at least, are deserving of these salary range increases that were proposed. And again, it's just my thought. And again, that's something I've already communicated to the superintendent and school committee members up here. But that's just something so whoever's viewing can understand where I'm coming from.
Respectfully, Jenny, you asked for comments prior to us voting. So I'm going to vote, since you commented, I'm going to comment now, because this is a range. This is a salary range. I am approving a salary range that is based on the Rhode Island standards of 2024 to 2025. I am not voting tonight on anyone's salary. I'm not voting on a performance-based salary. That I'm holding my superintendent to the fire for. She is going to base her salary and their performance-based salaries on what she thinks her directors should be getting. I am only approving the salary range, which is required by the state of Rhode Island for me to approve. Thanks, sir. So I can't tell her, but she then answers to me on why she gave so-and-so what she did. But if I were to say, no, I don't think our high school principal should get this to this, I'm not going to watch my high school principal walk down the street and go get a better job somewhere else. So that's why I am voting for this, because this is what the state of Rhode Island is offering. We're not going crazy high. We're not going crazy low. This puts us in the middle. I did my due diligence. I researched it. I researched it out the yin-yang. if these were out, the only one that I find is a little high, we've already discussed it, and when that comes in front of me, if that's an issue, it will be an issue. And right now, it's not. It's a salary range, and I approve salary ranges. So now, that was my comment.
Next item, we have consider and vote to approve the East Providence High School trip to New Orleans in January, February 2025. Comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
I will second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Approved? Consider and vote to approve the East Providence High School trip to Costa Rica in February 2025.
I will make a motion to approve only after I find out how many, this one does not have how many I know you already know what I'm going to ask, how many chaperones. So the other one did say how many chaperones, this one does not. So once we have that information, I will make that motion to approve.
Yeah, is that a T?
No, I'm going to vote yes. I just want to know how many chaperones.
What happens if you're not happy with the amount of chaperones?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Oh, but what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe they need one extra and I'm going to go with them.
Because I was on board with that. If anybody knew, maybe somebody sitting in the audience might know and say, okay, it's X amount, and I feel comfortable.
Well, it's 40 kids.
Guidelines in
Right, okay. 40 kids, 40 chaperones.
Are you comfortable? Whoa, that's not the reason to go.
I will. I'll go if I have to.
So is that a motion to approve the Costa Rica trip? I need a clear answer.
Yes.
Okay. Is there
For
a second?
$2,200 for a chaperone, I think there will be plenty of people going.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Next item, we have consider and vote to approve the revised building committee membership list. There are 3 less members on this list. I know the building committee is going to be members of our school district that are in those relevant schools to potentially become part of that building committee membership list. But at this time, there are 3 less members, and that's for the purpose of trying to be able to have a quorum. So I'll entertain I'll consider either comments or a motion to approve the revised building committee membership list at this time. Sure.
Jen, is there any way that somebody could see if we could get an attendance list at these meetings? I haven't attended a lot of them, but the few that I have attended, it's a really struggle to get that quorum. And I think we have a great bunch of people doing a great job that takes a lot out of their personal lives to accomplish this and to worry about. I think it's just, I know some people's been on there for 6 years since it was, struggle. So I think if we knew who was going, that may boost some of the attendance.
So that's in the minutes. The executive session minutes have all the people that did attend and did not attend. So that's all up. That's all in there already.
Because I think, Jen, like, you know yourself, just speaking of that $7 million that the group put together, we got some great people looking to do that. So I want to thank you for that.
And just to add, I know some of these, just one person in particular, for example, like it's a matter of which committees they're on now, so it's also a balance of the responsibilities, which I understand. Just want to put it out there. I know it's not for the lack of wanting to. It's unfortunately, they're being spread very thin. But I'll entertain either additional comments from the committee or a motion to approve the revised list.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? All that say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a consider and vote to approve the electronic waste recycling. I'll entertain comments or a motion. Alfred, if you could join us, please.
Hello, everyone. It's Alfred. Just for clarification, I couldn't very well hear you upstairs, so if there were any questions, could you please repeat them for me?
Yeah, I was just hoping that you could just provide us a little bit more context in terms of how this waste recycling program operates. Is it something that we've done in the past? Is it something brand new?
Correct. So as far as electronic waste recycling goes, we follow US EPA guidelines. So generally on an annual basis, I'll send a list of serial numbers to the committee, and we actually go out to a mini bid. And what we do as a school district, we don't give our electronic waste away to these recyclers for free because we know there's monetary value behind it. So in past years, we've secured tens, never into the six figures, but we've secured tens of thousands of dollars in electronic waste recycling. So this is part of an effective life cycle for technology hardware. You don't want to keep hardware in your environment for more than 5 years or so, generally, is a healthy life cycle. So this is our first big batch of e-waste that we're looking to recycle in quite some time. We had gotten rid of a lot of it during the pandemic because our buildings were closed, and we had the time to really go through and get these old assets out of our environment. So this being our first one in quite some time, we included some of the responses we got from our mini bid. We only reach out to R2V3 and eSteward certified recyclers, so this is a legitimate operation. And I'd like to clarify that we're not even legally required to get any money out of these assets. It's something that we do to put it back into the budget. Now, this year the responses were underwhelming to say the least. So you saw some that were providing us $20 per asset, $30 per asset, and that's based on a grading category. So they say, how can I take this hardware and how can I sell it myself? So grade A is basically a new device. Now, if any of you have worked in education, you know that you're not going to have a device that lasts 5 years in a classroom and then comes out new. So we're going to be seeing a lot of grade D and C assets, meaning we would get possibly $5, $10, or even nothing for these assets with the pricing that we received back. So my proposal to you folks as a committee is to approve the recycling of this equipment internally. So we would prepare the equipment in-house. We would follow the same data erasure guidelines as these R2V3 certified recyclers, ensuring that none of our student or organizational data is being put out there. We'll take these devices, we'll prepare them, and we'll work alongside community development. We'll work alongside EBCAP, Boys and Girls Club, Hope and Faith, and we'll get these devices to students in our district who are in need, whether that be homeless students, students who are lower income, or otherwise students that are benefiting from other programs. We've already participated very well with a number of programs. For example, RIRALS, we've provided them with devices for MLL, parents that are attending English as a second language courses. And we work very well with Hope and Faith, as you folks have always seen. So I'm really hoping to extend that and take these devices and really get them into the hands of community members that can benefit from them. And of course, there's a lot to be done on the inside that I can benefit greatly from our Career and Technical Center interns. They can help us prepare these devices. They can help us put educational materials and get them ready to go. But ultimately, that's what my proposal to you folks is that we, instead of working with these e-waste, these R2V3 certified recyclers and getting back what I would call a pittance, I say that we take these devices and we give them back to the community that can really make good use of them. Now, of course, this would result in, from a fiscal perspective, a small loss, you could say. But again, with the numbers that I've provided you, we're looking at a negligible amount compared to the benefit it could provide the community members. Are there any further questions? You're welcome, friend. All right, best of luck.
questions or comments from very thorough, so. I'll entertain a motion to approve
I'll
the
make a motion.
electronic waste recycling.
And give it to people who need it.
A motion.
And also to kind of really summarize what I just heard Alfred say is that instead of receiving a small amount of money for recycling these products, these laptops, technology devices, we will be using resources within the district to be redistributed back out into the community at large to folks who need them. So I think it's a great opportunity as a community partner, so I would make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Next item we have is consider and vote to approve a plaque to acknowledge East Providence High School past and present.
Speak to that. So in the old high school, we had portraits of some of the principals that were on display. First of all, there was a gap in service, so probably the last 4 principals have not had those portraits done. And there's really no place to hang them in the new library or really in the building. So what we wanted to do was recognize all of the past principals by doing a plaque, kind of like what we saw for EPLAC with the little name tags and the years of service that we could display in the high school, replacing hanging the portraits back up. So it went to the building. The portraits are in administration. And it's only ever been the high school principals and big portraits that were on display in the library of the old high school. So we thought it would just be, nicer, easier to display in the new high school. And we were talking about going back to the original principal and putting up those name tags. So the building committee voted on it last night, and so it's coming to you for your approval.
Where would the plaque be displayed?
I'm not exactly sure, maybe in the front where we have the plaques dedicating the building, or it might be the library. We haven't really figured out a place yet for it, but it would be somewhere in the high school.
And where are the portraits going? Because they are beautiful.
I'm not sure where the portraits are going. We talked about trying to return them to the owners or the families of the people that, they are nice, but yeah.
Just for clarity, you said some principals had portraits. So the people that would be added to this plaque, would it be just the ones that had the portraits, or would it be all?
All principals starting from the beginning of the high school. And with space for the future principals.
Questions or comments from the committee?
I'm curious, when was the last time a portrait was created of
Daft? I think it was Ed Daft.
staff? There hasn't been any acknowledgement of.
No.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Let's say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Next item, we have consider and vote to approve the principals and assistant principals contracts. I'll entertain comments, questions, or a motion at this time. Comments, questions, or a motion?
I'm going to make the motion, and I'm going to make a statement that I want to thank each principal in this district for the job that they're doing for the citizens and the kids in this district, and it's a tough job, so I'll make the motion to go forward.
Is there a second?
Second. I will second what Tony just said, the list in front of us, correct? This is the list in front of us. This list in front of us. I second.
All that say aye? Aye. Contracts are approved for the principals and assistant principals. Next item, we have consider and vote to approve district layoffs. I'll entertain comments, questions, or a motion.
List that we send out every year.
That's the list we discussed. We discussed positions in the meetings, the meeting the other day. The result of eliminating the positions we discussed results in layoffs of least senior teachers. So it is right now for budgetary reasons. We know we're facing a $1.1 million cut in state aid. And so we feel like there are positions that we can eliminate in the district, and therefore we need to lay off least senior teachers so that the people that have more seniority in those positions can bump into these positions. I mean, our ultimate goal is that nobody gets laid off and we're able to call everyone back. I just don't know if that will be possible, and we need to make sure that we have the money to pay everyone.
Lay off any teacher, at one point put these tremendous money makers in our school zone, and I feel that that money should be coming back to the school district. We're raising serious money on speed cameras, and to say that this district may have to lay off teachers because we don't have enough money to fund these teachers, which is the direct impact to 5,000 kids. Shame for me to say I live in this city. So I will not be supporting this. I don't care who wants to spin it. There is money in this city to make sure that teachers don't get hurt. Just because we don't have it, the city has it. They choose not to give it to us. Let it fall on their laps, not our laps. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Tony, just to clarify that, that's just an opinion. That's not like a motion to deny.
So there is a June 1st deadline for layoffs. If we don't lay off, then that means that we won't be able to lay off, and we need to make sure that we can present a balanced budget. I mean, this is precautionary, and there are positions on here where we have some small classes, and so we don't feel like we need 2 of those classes. We did go over all these positions. We are responsible for coming up with a balanced budget, and I feel like this is the way we have to do it. We have to take the precaution with the amount of state aid we face as far as cuts and the increases that we have in the district coming up.
If we had the money, I don't think this would even be in front of us. So at some point, either we're utilizing money, taxpayers' dollars, and taking taxpayers' money that we should be using, or we need more money to educate these kids and keep these jobs. In my eyes, it can't be both ways. The only reason I think we're faced with this is because we don't have enough money. If the city was to give us another $1.5 million, this would not be on our table for me. There's 5,000 kids in this district that came a long way since I've been sitting here, since Jeff's been sitting here, education-wise, and I feel this is a direct impact to the education system in the city of East Providence.
Or if the state would give us the 1 point whatever that they took from, that, I mean, seriously,
They cut it right out of our budget, Tony. It's gone. They took it, it's gone.
Our state delegation is working. The state budget has not come out. The governor's budget came out, and that's where we're facing the $1.1 million cut. We have to take action to make sure that we can put forth a balanced budget. And right now, our largest line item is personnel. And there isn't going to be a place that I can cut another $1.1 million from the budget or more. So I'm hoping that we get the state aid back. I know our delegation is fighting for us, but we need to be prepared for a situation where we are going to take a big cut. And if we don't, great, then we start to add positions back in. But I'm stating right now that without taking action with personnel, I will not be able to present you with a balanced budget.
Questions from the committee?
No one wants to do this. I can tell you, Nick Shattuck and I went around and talked to all of these people when we gave them the layoff letters. Nobody wants to lay teachers off, and our goal is to get everyone back. But this is unfortunately the reality right now. No, I understand. And I just want to say we were very thoughtful. So many districts just blanket lay off all non-tenured teachers. We did not do that. We were very thoughtful, and I presented to you the positions that we were talking about eliminating in the way that we eliminated positions. We chose positions, or tried to choose positions that would have the least impact. You know, I just want to say that. I mean, none of this is easy. Nobody wants to lay off teachers. We want to add programs. But right now, again, this is the reality of where we are. So,
Questions, comments from the committee? I will add to what Tony was saying a little bit. But first, I'll start off with saying we did have the opportunity to meet with the superintendent. That we fully understood, you know, first of all, what bumping was, which is a whole concept I understand is complex. So discuss, you know, the positions that we were removing, not filling, and then lastly, what we got before us in our packets were the actual positions that were tenured teachers, as well as the ones that are not certified. Is that correct so far?
yes, some were not. Some were emergency certified.
So, and I understand it. Just to be, you know, consistent with what I've been saying, along the lines of what Tony's also been saying, is all these positions are teachers, and they directly face our students every day, and it's very difficult to be able to support the layoff list when it's not balanced with any other positions from our district that deal with our students on the daily basis. Had it been a little bit more balanced, maybe it could have been easier to swallow, but because all of these are positions that directly see our students every day, that's not something that I think really shows that impact our students are prioritized.
So just to be clear, teacher layoffs are due by June 1st. So this is only teacher layoffs. This is not necessarily all layoffs. This is teacher layoffs because we have to do this before June 1st or we can't do this. So we have looked, we have met with every principal, we have met with every director. We put out a survey to the entire district asking for suggestions on places that we could cut in the district. These decisions were not made lightly. And we're looking at places where class sizes are very low, so there may be 2 classes when there's only really enough students for 1 class. So while it's facing students, you know, we're looking at a class of maybe 12 and 12 being combined for a class of 24. So we looked at everything.
So by no means was I trying to imply that there wasn't any sort of care in meeting with principals and trying to get their feedback on, you know, where to make those cuts. But the discussions that we've had at least from the last meeting we had and today, it doesn't appear like we're considering seriously other positions.
Considering everything.
So for that reason, I'm opposed to this. But again, that's just my thought. I just figured I'd talk, you know, let people know why I'll be voting the way that I'll be voting. And again, it's been consistent. I've made sure to, you know, communicate that to our superintendent and the committee in the conversations that we've had. But additional comments or questions from the committee at this time?
I'll just say that if we really did consider everything, I just don't understand why this so primarily targets educators, the people that are closest to the students.
This is the first round. This is because teachers are due. Other positions are not due right now. Teachers have to be laid off by June 1st. I've been open to suggestions. When I met with you, I asked for other suggestions in addition to that. This is over $1 million that we are not going to be able to make up. And we're keeping positions that, again, like I said, 12 and 12 students. So we have classes already of 24 and 25. We have classes of 12. So to combine those to 24 is fiscally responsible.
So there are some classes where it does make sense, but that is not the majority, though.
Well, this isn't even close to $1 million in front of us. So I don't know. I mean, there's more to come. These are classroom teachers in front of us.
Because we have to do it now. So when we know our state aid.
For the last 10 years, the first 5, I did not vote on this because legally, I knew that the 4 other people would. Because legally, as a former teacher, I know legally you have to. I know that for a fact.
As long as it's before
then
the deadline.
we don't pass a budget.
Again,
and then
as long as it's before the deadline.
If we don't pass a budget, then we as a committee didn't do our job.
Our job is to provide the best education for 5,000 kids possible. Just because we can't get enough money from the city doesn't mean if I don't support laying off teachers that I haven't done my job, Jess. There are speed cameras out there that's collected over $10 million since they were installed.
Zero. We have had zero.
$10 million. By the time we pay the company out and stuff, it's broken down. Last time the mayor was here, last year, it was $8 million. We paid out 5 back to the camera company. The city brought in 3, and we got 0. I ain't laying off anybody. Plain and simple. As long as he holds the purse strings with them security cameras money, I'm not laying off one teacher. Professional, not one custodian that's going to affect my 5,000 kids. He's going to $4 million. Those are security cameras that are all placed around our schools, and this schools committee has not received 1 penny of that money. It's shameful.
So I was just going to add to that, though. The conversations we have had, though, this is the only thing that has been presented to us.
There's 500 teachers. I could lay off every administrator and every director, and it's not gonna come to enough. There's 500 teachers. We still have to operate a school system. That is where the bulk of your positions are.
I just wanted to add, so the issue in terms of what the city can give to us, it's very clear. In state law, the maximum that we can ask for is 4% over the previous year. So that means even if our state aid is not cut, so the maximum, regardless of the speed money camera, that we can't even, that's not in the state law. The state law says the maximum that we can ask for is 4%, and that's 2.1 million. That's it. That's all, that's a maximum that we can ask for. And if our aid gets cut, if we get a cut in aid, they have to make that up, but that's still included as part of that 4%. So if we get cut, if we indeed take a $1.1 million cut, then the maximum that the city can give us is 1 million, because we're stuck within that 4% state law.
Why don't we get better politicians to fight for these 5,000 kids? It's common mathematics. The city is striding, it's going forwards, so let's pick on it. I don't like bullies, Fred. And I know you look at every number too, but the bottom line is we have to start fighting back for these 5,000 kids and the kids that are educated. We just can't keep sitting back and say, oh, it's somebody else's problem. This is the problem that we all sit up here. There is money in this state. They're giving it to communities that their population's dropping. They're giving it to communities where they got more power and bigger politicians to bully them. That's what goes on in the state. I'm not going to sit here and watch 5,000 kids and my 800 employees struggle and try to do a great job and say, well, we're just going to take some of your help away and make the classroom bigger to put a burden on some other teachers that are striding with these kids. And then we already got the problem where there's no room for kindergarten kids that parents going to transport them from one end of the city to the other end of the city. It's like a snowball effect, and the snowball's rolling. Somebody has to fight to stop the snowball. And I'm only one vote here, and I'll do the best I can to do what I can for my 800 teachers and employees. I'm not intimidated by the state and all this other. We have to put a stop to this, because otherwise this whole city is going to suffer. We're bringing in new businesses almost on a weekly basis. They're coming in because of our education system. It's not a good set to say, we're going to do this. I understand the superintendent, I understand what you're saying. We as an elected body get to vote on this and help us figure this problem out. But we just can't keep passing the buck down the road and saying, well,
And this is a necessary precaution while we work to get the money back that we need. If we don't do this, we will not balance a budget. We won't. If we do not, your biggest line item in a budget is personnel. If we don't make cuts to personnel, we will not be able to make up that amount of money. There's only so much you can cut from a supply item, a supply line item, or all the other things that we have. Those are fixed expenses, transportation. We're charged with putting forth a balanced budget, and I'm telling you that without, as I said, I'm hoping to call all these teachers back. We'll have a better idea of our state aid, our full state aid in June, but this is necessary now.
Craig, can you come back to the podium?
looking at our budget, is there a way to cut $1 million out of this?
To cut, as the superintendent, when she and I have been speaking, again,
Well, you're speaking to me now.
Yeah, so-
Can we sit here and can we work through this and start cutting stuff?
we can make cuts, but it's not going to get you to the number that you need to get to. Because again, the personnel line item between salary and all of the benefits, unfortunately, that's where you get your biggest bang for your buck.
And we're only talking about 1 million, right, in loss in state aid. We also have to consider, we have an increase in healthcare of about 600,000. We have an increase in salaries of over 2 million, and we have an increase in transportation. Not to mention any other typical. So what I showed you the other day was we have over I believe it was $4 or $4.6 million that we have to cover. There is no way to cut $4.6 million out of the budget, because the maximum we can get from the city is what, 2.2?
2.1.
2.1. And so there's another over $2 million, $2.5 million that we would have to make up in the line items in the budget. There's just not that many places to cut 2.5 million other than personnel, which is your biggest line item. Again, we were thoughtful about where we made the cuts to personnel. And again, we're hoping that we are able to call everybody back and we're able to start adding positions back as we have a better idea of our state aid increase. Not just 1.1 million.
Can the city give us, like they did last year, like a one-time lump sum, but they gotta?
So do you mean the
Like they gave us the money for the fence, some other money, those were for capital improvements, is that the only way?
I would believe so.
So we should take every item that we don't have to look at as education and consider that. We couldn't come up with $1 million, $300,000 for supplies to start with. $700,000 worth of money, we could dump this on the city's back and get a one-time infusion and tell them to only go in phones. It's a simple question. On the spot.
Correct.
I'm not a finance director, but like I said, I'm gonna fight every tooth and nail I can for my kids and my teachers.
Absolutely.
It's more than that amount, is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. Because of the increase in salaries, the increase in healthcare, the increase in salaries, and what?
This is 1.1.
Yeah, just the teachers are 1.1, which basically covers our state aid cut. But then we have increases that we're responsible for. Contractual, all of them. Transportation, healthcare,
Special education tuitions
special
out of district.
education tuition. We're going to see additional increases. It's not just 1.1 million. We have to reduce our operating expenses, and we have to reduce it going forward, too.
What that total number is between the cuts and increases?
Yeah, I had shared it the last meeting. I believe it was 4.6. 4.6. Yes, that's what it was. Right, 4.6. And 4.6, and because with the $1.1 million decrease in state aid, it brings it up to 4.6, and we can get 2.1 from the city. So we still are facing a substantial shortfall. With no layoffs, we're not going to make the budget. We're going to be well over $2 million short. And I don't know where you can make that up when you look at the line items. Like, there's no line item in our budget right now. If you look at what Craig gave you today, there's no line item there that has an extra 2.2 million or where we're going to be able to squeeze it. If you look, we're 6 months in, and a lot of the line items are at 50% or more. I think we need to take this precaution and we need to, every district does layoffs. Providence laid off over 400 teachers. We're looking at, Burrville, how many? 39. We were thoughtful about this. We have 12, I believe, on the list, and 2 of them are for certification reasons.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'm not going to leave this meeting being criticized that I don't care for kids. I'm not going to leave this meeting being told that I don't care for 5,400 students, or that I don't care for teachers, or that I have not put in the time nor the commitment or anything like that. But I do know the law, and I do know that if I don't do this, that these 13 people on this list won't have a chance to come back because we won't be able to, because we won't have a budget. But I also want to know, how many do we so in the 10 years that I've been here, this isn't the worst. This isn't the worst. It's a lot. The worst was the year that we laid off the teacher who had just won the Teacher of the Year. That was the worst. That was embarrassing. That was like 7 years ago. But what is the average? Is the average like 7 a year? 3? Do you know?
Speak to it depends on the positions, it depends on the year. I mean, this is a low number for what most districts around the state are doing right now. It's a low number, and like I said, 3 of those positions, they have very small caseloads. We discussed that. Some of those are classrooms, like I said, that are very small classrooms that can be combined. We're looking at our kindergarten numbers. We have one school that has 16 registrations and 50 seats. So are we going to run 2 classes of 8? I mean, we were thoughtful in the way that we did these. We looked at everything.
You can say that as many times as you want, but I am not leaving this room until there's full discussion. Yeah, I can tell you.
I said
yeah.
what I needed to say already, so it's up to the rest.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the 13 layoffs.
Is there a second? All that say aye? Those that say nay? Nay.
Nay.
District layoffs fails.
We have a solution to the budget.
I'm asking if I'll leave it as a.
That can get me money. Roughly a $4 million shortfall. That good for education? How is that good for a city that's striving business-wise? I want people to explain to Anthony how this is good for the city that we all should be so proud of, that is striving, going in the right direction, but the only way to make it work is beat up on kids and teachers. That's shameful. That's shameful. I want the politicians in here, like they say they are, explain to us why they can't give us more money. How are they fighting to get us our 1.2, 1.3 back from the city, instead of whining and dining everybody? That's what I would like to see. I would have liked to see this working over the last 10 months so it didn't come down to this night. I stated it publicly. taxpayers, I would like to see them not property tax, and they got struck to get over a bridge, collapse it, and they get to work.
If I may, Tony, because I know we're short on time. We can always add this to the next meeting that we're about to have this month, and we haven't scheduled that yet, but.
I'm supportive of doing that.
Yeah. That, and that will be tacked on from, we have to do a hearing with a parent, and we have to meet with the superintendent as well, and we can always add that in for that night as well. If not, we can split that up if we need to.
So just to be clear, I'm not sure what you think will be different as far as financially in a week. So I won't have $1 million in cuts to present anywhere else. I mean, we have combed through the budget, so I just.
The next item, I was informed that the employee termination is actually not something that the school committee needs to vote on, so I would just propose to the school committee to table that item.
I'll make a motion to table.
Is there a second? Oh, let's say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tabled. Any announcements? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Oh, let's say aye.
Aye.
Aye.